Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets Podcast Pioneer, with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey, everybody, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. We are nearing the 1000th episode, and I'm not sure quite when this thing is going to be released, if it's going to be released before or after that. A monumental move for Remarkable Results Radio. We have a ton of episodes. We're nearing the 400th in Town Hall Academy. But first of all, we couldn't have done it without you. It's all about aftermarket service professionals that come here for as hard as we work to find you some of the best topics and the best subjects and the best discussion in the automotive aftermarket. I'd love to introduce you to Carl Borsani. Carl.
Hi, Carm.
Good to see you, man. Look at this episode is really, I think, going to rock your world a little bit. This guy, I think, was it back in 2012, Carl, you bought an ASE testing company.
I did.
I can't wait you to hear about it because I've got Carl's history, his background, his loves, his dislikes, and everything. This guy is all about making all of us mechanical or technology specialists better and give tools to the shop owner as to how they can elevate their people's knowledge and their ASE testing. ASE It's not a commercial for Carl, but what we want to know is what's working, what he hears from the people that are taking these tests. ASE And also stick around, because if you're involved in education at all, you got to get inside of the automotivestudent.testing.com. And he has been able to take all the stuff that he's got inside of his, if you will, library or questions or test score, whatever you're doing, and bring it out to the colleges. So I'm thrilled about that. And one more thing, which is why you can't go anywhere, my listener, using this stuff for pre-employment screening. So do you sleep at all?
I rarely sleep, Carm.
How many hours a night do you need, man?
Oh, just a few. I mean, look at me. I'm only 20 and I look like this. Come on.
Okay. All right. I understand. Me too. I think we probably have the same genes. You're Italian, right?
I am.
Yeah,
Full-blooded.
Yeah, me too. So, okay. Two paisans here talking about ASE Test Preps. Hey, are you going to the Institute Summit, February 2025? Well, if you want a top-tier event and destination, you found it. The Institute Summit. Connect with your peers, explore innovation, and increase your knowledge. Nothing like it. Speakers such as Dan Clark, Dr. Jessica Kriegel, Ross Bernstein, and some of our industry's top presenters and speakers will be there presenting and hanging out with you. There will also be lightning talks and time with exhibitors. February 6th through the 9th, 2025, at the beautiful Omni Resort, Amelia Island, Florida. Great time to be in Florida. We are theinstitute.com/summit. February 6th through the 9th, 2025. I hope to see you there. What made you want to buy the company?
You know, Carm, I'm a car guy. I've always been a car guy. I love wrenching on my own cars. And I've always had that passion for wanting to teach people things. I love getting around young people where I can teach them a skill, teach them something to better themselves. Just the opportunity presented itself in 2012 at just a chance meeting with the person that owned ASE Test Prep at the time, and said, we got to talking, and would you be interested in buying this business from me? I'm really kind of done with it, and I really feel like I can't do any more with it. And you're a sharp guy, and I think you'd do well with it. So I came back home and talked to the wife, and she said, "You're crazy, but sure, okay. Go for it."
So entrepreneurial juices started to flow.
Absolutely. I had this vision. I could see what it needed to be instead of what it was. I saw past that.
What did it need to be?
It needed to serve a market of technicians who are interested in more, not just getting an ASE certification. That's important to them, but more. Okay, I want to learn more than just practice for this one test that I need to take and pass because my boss said I need to do that. Maybe one day I could be a Master Certified Technician, but it's really expensive to practice for all those tests. And I would have to buy 9 subscriptions or 8 subscriptions to some sort of practice test material, buy books or something. And so I thought, okay, first off, this company was selling access to one ASE area at a time. They had 8 ASE areas to start, A1 through A8. That was it. And right away I saw that was a problem. I looked at that and I said, okay, we need to sell access to this system and give them access to everything. We want somebody to get in there and do what they need to do, but then do what they want to do inside the system also.
Interesting. A million thoughts going through my head, Carl. Subject matter experts. If you're not from the cloth, having worked in the bays, tinkered your own cars. By the way, how many cars have you ever owned in your lifetime?
I'm ashamed to say, but proud at the same time to say I've owned 37 cars in my lifetime.
Okay. Can you imagine if you only owned 5, all the money you'd have in the bank?
That's why my wife looked at me like I'm crazy.
Got it. I understand. Okay, great. Good. You're a normal human being. So subject matter experts, when I start thinking about you having this small company, where are you getting all the talent to help you with this stuff?
So the person that I bought the company from is a subject matter expert in himself. And he got me in contact with other subject matter experts. And so I had this corral, if you will, of automotive educational experts, master certified technicians, and just basically this group of people that were experts in specific areas or all areas. So what I did was we decided at that time to, okay, let's work out an agreement where I can't bring you on to pay you full time, but on a contract basis, you can be my SME and you can field calls when questions come in from customers that want to ask a question about why I don't understand this. Can you help explain this? And so that's where they come in also in the future.
So help me understand. I'm taking the test. I'm going through a question. I don't get it right. Are you providing me what the right answer is and why?
That was another vision of mine. I didn't want to just have a test that presented itself as you answer the question, you're right or wrong, you move on. You're right or wrong, you move on. That to me is not learning. Okay, learning is explaining to somebody why they're correct or why they're incorrect when they choose a response. My thought here is it's great to know which of the 4 answers that you have in front of you are correct, but it's even better to fully understand why the 3 answers that were not correct in this instance, because they're very well likely going to be correct somewhere else in this area in a very similar scenario. So being able to pick out the nuances, the subtle differences. There's one word that can change a total answer here. It could be and or,
It's not on purpose. So people really, they want to test that they really know their stuff. When you've listened to some of my other shows with some of the subject matter experts on it or the ASE people themselves, and I was part of a part specialist years ago, I was amazed at how it wasn't to trick you, but it was that there's a lot of different ways to look at what the correct answer would be. And that sets up, when you're certified in ASE today, people got to understand, it's an honor that you passed.
It is an honor, and they're technicians who pass. They're proud. They wear it on their sleeve. It does make a difference, not only in the honor side of it, but in the money side of it. The more ASE certification somebody holds, the more opportunities they're going to have presented to them for employment and job and pay increases.
Yeah. And we would hope so that they're being paid to reach a certification level. And our shop owners today, our professional shop owners, are paying for the tests. A1 through 8 is what you started with. Where have you expanded since then?
So we have initially the first test we added was G1. That was kind of new at the time, so it made sense that they didn't have it up to that point, but that was the first test we added. Funny thing about that G1 test is, it's kind of a 10,000 foot view of front to back, bumper to bumper of a car. And so you need to know a little about everything instead of specific everything about one system. When master certified technicians were first presented with this area that they wanted to take a certification test in, more than half of them passed or failed that the first time they took it, because they went into this saying, I know everything about A1 through A8. I can do this. Well, They know the details. They knew the deep diagnostics, not the lighter 10,000 foot view information. Then we moved on to A9, and by request, we've added some parts certification. We have P2. We had a customer, like a service writer, a C1 test, X1 undercar specialist. We've got 14 different ASE areas we're covering right now. We're working on what's happening in the industry right now, which is your L2, L3, and L4, your advanced systems, that kind of thing. So those are in process right now, and those are in front of my SMEs getting written and developed as we speak.
Love where you're going with this. It sounds like you get up every single day and say, how can I improve this?
That's the goal with this entire venture of mine. How can I improve the industry as a whole? I hear from shop owners constantly, and I've heard this dating back to 2012 when I took the business over. We need employees. We can't find enough employees. Okay. And so I took it upon myself to say, what can I do with my slice of the industry here, and say, what can I do to improve their lives?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So improving their lives, meaning making it easier for their employees to pass their tests and to move up the ranks instead of trying to jump ship. And that's part of the problem that this industry faced. And I think it's getting better as time goes on here, but the grass is always greener on the other side syndrome. A lot of job jumpers here. I think that it is starting to change. And I feel like I'm right in the middle of affecting that change with what I'm doing with the business right now.
Help me understand, Carl, is this per test? Is it a subscription based? How, if I was interested in this, do I come on for a short term, long term? How's it work?
So it's based on what your plans are. Okay. So if your plan going into this is, I'm going to take 4 ASE tests back to back. So you need time to study for those tests. So our subscriptions or our services based on length of time you're inside the system. So it's called a subscription. So I sell 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, however many days you feel you're going to need in order to properly study, work through the material, master the material, and then plan and prepare that test. So if you're going to take 4 ASE tests, and this is the first time you've taken these 4 tests, you're probably going to want to have at least a 4-month subscription, maybe a 6-month subscription to work through the material. The beauty is, if you go into that mindset saying, I'm going to give myself enough time to do it, you're making that longer term commitment. That longer term commitment is going to cost you less per day because it's a little cheaper as you go.
Carl, it's asetestprep.com, but I'm making an assumption that if I bought myself a 4-month subscription, I am not necessarily taking tests. Are you teaching me other things before I go into an example test?
What we're going to teach you is, first off, we're going to teach you some great test taking habits. Okay. A lot of the struggles that technicians have when they get to that point of taking a test is that they don't know how to take this test. They're not comfortable with it. They're going to go into this test apprehensive. And if they're not ready, the first time you walk in to take your first ASE test, you're liable to turn around and walk right out because it's very intimidating. They will literally make you pull your pockets out and wand you down.
Oh, yeah.
About as bad as going through TSA. And that intimidates that right away. If you're not ready for that, you're going to be nervous and you're going to be put off and you're going to start having trouble and recalling the information that you need. It's just going to be a problem.
Yeah, I feel like I am a criminal.
You almost feel like that the first time you do this. It's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm nothing,
Respect what this is all about. It's a company that, works for ASE to bring the integrity of test taking to its highest levels. And especially when you hear the stories, and they're not stories, but how they've gone to, non-test centers and how they need to test the room and when you're taking it online. I find it fascinating because I think it brings a level of respect for, the certification as high as it can be because of its integrity.
Absolutely. I mean, the certification is extremely meaningful in the industry. Over the years, I feel, and since I've been involved in it, I see the highs and lows of how the industry visualizes or feels about this is this certification. I feel like we're on the way back to it being more important than it was even 6 years ago. It seemed like manufacturers started doing their own certifications, and I see some of that coming back now towards ASE, and I think that's a great thing.
Can I afford this?
I'm not going to give the standard sales answer. Can you afford not to do it? But the thing is, an ASE test, okay, here's the bottom line. When you're going to go take an ASE test, that test costs money. You have to pay to book that time and take that test. If you go into a test center unprepared, okay, you have to spend that money to get to that point. And if you're not prepared, there's an excellent chance that you're going to fail that test. Now, once you fail that test, not only do you have to spend the money to go and book and take that test again, but now you can't take that test for another 30 days. You cannot retry for 30 days. So not only are you losing money, but you're losing time. You're getting behind in what your plans were to get that advancement, get that certification. The best thing I could tell you is you need to be prepared for every angle. You need to be mentally prepared, and you need to understand the information, because what you're going to see on my test system is the same information that you're going to see there. You're not going to see the same questions, but you're going to see the same scenarios. And you're going to need to work through that diagnostic scenario and apply what you learn.
AAPEX 2024, one of the best industry training and expo events, is now in the record books. Joe's Garage at AAPEX brought the best and the brightest together to create an interactive experience like no other. The concentration on emerging technology was cutting edge, along with the latest in tools and equipment that bring efficiencies to your shop, which is another reason to attend AAPEX. There were more than 60 training sessions for technical, business management, and HR. You participated in the EV experience stage at Joe's Garage along with ASE Technology. If you did not attend, I bet you wished you had. AAPEX created specialty sections to make it super easy to find your area of interest, like the tire service section, tools and equipment, the diagnostics telematics shop, and of course the EV experience. New in 2024 was the student competition on an engine build, and features inside of Joe's Garage were from Autel, BG Products, NAPA, Hunter Engineering, Bosch, Repairify Coats, and Solid Start, among others. Mark your calendar for AAPEX 2025, November 4th through the 6th in Las Vegas. Listen here to learn about exciting events planned for 2025 and when you can start registering. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, we'll be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPA Trax, that's NAPATRACS.com. Hey, ever wonder how your labor rate compares to your market and state? You now have a site where you can confidentially upload your rate and see other labor rates published in your market. LaborRateTracker.com is an important site to know about. Currently, the database has over 1,000 shops participating and growing every day. But there's more to setting your rates than finding out what others charge. You should look at the labor rates in your state and town to gain a complete picture of the labor rate landscape. Hey, it's easy. Get market intelligence like never before at LaborRateTracker.com. Talk to me about pre-employment assessment. I'm fascinated by this. How is that? Does it work? Is it a separate module in your company, or are you just telling people, just go and take a few ASE tests, see how you do, and then I'll let you know if I'll hire you?
One of those great things that actually a shop owner told me that they figured out to do And I love hearing this because that means they're invested in what they're doing. And so I do sell group accounts to shops at a discount. And what they started doing with this is they kept one of the accounts aside just to use it as a pre-employment screening tool. The reason being is because when you advertise for a job, a lot of shops, you get inundated with resumes and they don't have time to work through all of that information. They're busy. So what happens is rather than spending the time before pre-employment screening, spending the time going through those resumes and then maybe having 10 of the individuals in who look good on paper to try and fill these 1 or 2 or 3 jobs that you have. Well, what you can do now with those 10 people, before you spend time your entire day talking to 8 or 10 people, you just get with those guys and say, okay, each one individually, you're going to go to this website, you're going to log in using this username and this password, and I want you to take these tests. This is what your resume says you're good at, okay? So you should be able to do this. I want you to take these tests. Now, first off, they're either going to do it or they're not. If they don't do it, okay, you didn't waste a minute more with them. But if they do it, what happens is now you're going to get a report from our system as the shop owner or supervisor, and that report's going to show you what that account did, how they scored on that test. It's going to break it down into actually not just the ASE area, but you're going to see how they did within all the content areas inside that ASE area.
So what you're saying, Carl, is you're opening up a portal based on a sign-on and you're telling an individual to take these particular tests. So it's really an entire ASE test based on what they've said in their resume that they're good at. I get that. That is so interesting. How quickly is that scored for the owner? Will they discuss this in a secondary interview? What's the recommendation here?
It's scored. We have a system for all group accounts that'll generate a report every Monday morning for the prior 7 days of activity. Everything that happened with your team, every account for those prior 7 days.
Okay.
I instruct the groups that buy to say, okay, if you need a report sooner, just let us know and drop us a message and we'll run you an on-demand report. If you need it now, you can get it now. It's a system that I don't expect the owners to try and have to get into and do anything. I want it to just operate independently of their interface or their interference in some cases here. So the system is set to do a certain thing and deliver that report, and then they get that PDF in their email to show exactly what happened.
Well, if I interview someone on a Tuesday, but I don't get the report until Monday, that I could lose that individual. So it's almost like I really am hot on this individual. It looks like it's very promising, but I do want to do a little of an assessment. Can I find out right away?
You can. The option's there.
Okay, great. Cool stuff. Now, what about the student side of this thing? AutomotiveStudentTesting.com. By the way, I sent a quick demo link, I believe that you sent me, to the chairman of our automotive technology college here in town. And I think it was last week. I'm not sure exactly where we are with that, if Vinny did anything with it. I'm impressed because we need more of, if you will, this aftermarket stuff to be involved inside of education.
We do. And this, I am so pleased that we've gone off in this direction here. Just a handful of years ago, the instructors started approaching me through ASE Test Prep saying, okay, they use my system for their own certifications. They love it, but we need something that is tailored just to the students, and it needs to have more options for us here. And so we worked side by side with these instructors. I love working with people in the industry consistently because they're the ones who are needing this information. They're the ones who are living the day-to-day with this situation. So I'm not going to assume I know what they want. I'm going to ask them and do what they want. So we built this student interface, this student system, with some extra tools available to the instructor here. Again, the top thing, the number one thing that instructors told me they didn't want to have with the new system is, I don't want another LMS system. We have this. I just need something that I don't have to spend time setting up and building and constructing or even assigning out of. So this system is a total hands-off for the instructor if they choose to be hands-off, because it's a series now of tests and quizzes based on actually 15 different ASE areas versus the 14 that's on the pro side. So this system with the quizzes and tests. A test is an ASE test that it's 25 questions, and it'll cover all the content areas within every ASE area within that particular area. But if you're teaching brakes, for example, you don't teach hydraulics, electronics, disc, and drum brakes at the same time to a bunch of students. Okay, you're going to teach one of those topics at a time. My system allows the instructor to maybe give the class a pre-quiz on, let's test your understanding and knowledge of drum brakes, okay, before we even start into the section. The instructor has the ability in that system to run a report as soon as he wants to. He can log into his account, push a button, run a report for exactly what just happened. If his class just took tests, he can run that report. And then he'll teach the topic and then run a post-test after that, or a post-quiz, I'm sorry, and then see who got it, who didn't. The challenge with the instructors has always been that there are quiet students that will fall through the cracks. Every school group, or every group of students has quiet ones, maybe one or two. And those quiet ones can fall through the cracks and get too far behind to where some of them may just drop out of the program. Some of them may just get out of it because they're so lost. This system, with the reporting that it does, will allow that instructor to see and spot those students before they cry wolf.
Wow, I find this so valuable to, if you will, pick up someone by the bootstraps and says, hey, we got to work on this a little bit. Maybe you do I see some value when you're in a lab and you be able to spot an individual who's got it or not based on the pre and the post testing.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only about finding those quiet ones, and the biggest benefit of this, and these students will then come to realize this with everything they do, is you're teaching, my system teaches them to be extremely good test takers. Okay. That ability to learn how to take the test the right way serves them well in everything they do, for everything in schooling and training through their careers as they work through getting those certifications once they graduate. The way it does that is that it will tell the instructor, on this quiz or this test, this student took this long to take those tests and quizzes. So you know that if they have a 25 question test that you asked them to do, and they took that test in about 4 minutes, they're just clicking through. They're just trying to get through it as quickly as they can. And you're going to be able to see that and help them.
So you're hearing this from instructors, or are there to support you, to guide you, to give you instructions, not only give you the feedback as to what's going on. Are they all on board?
The instructors, that once they use this in their classroom, I can't tell you how many times I hear, where have you been all my life? It's one of those things that not only it works great for their students, at the end of the day, when they're asked at the end of the term to show how they know what they're doing, their classes learned all of these things, but they improved in all these areas. So now you have all these reports that were sent to you throughout the semester, the term, and then that's your proof for your supervisor to say, hey, I'm doing my job. These guys are learning and moving on through my system, and they're doing great. It's not only serves the students well, it serves the instructors well, it serves the schools well, because you know that they have great tools that are trackable and with provable data.
Wow, 2012 you bought this. It's been 12 years. You've done a lot of great things. ASETestprep.com and the Automotive StudentTesting.com. What's next on the horizon for you, man?
The next thing, because I don't sleep, Carm, we talked about that. We talked about no sleeping. So I was approached last year I heard a story, and this is really what generated me to do this here. The story was, we have lots of customers down in Georgia, and I've gotten to know those instructors down there quite well. Well, one of them was telling me, my alignment rack is down, and I can't teach these students anything about alignment until we get this fixed, and we can't afford to get it fixed. And he said, we have all these things that we have to do this ASE entry-level certification because that's mandated by the state. But it's very expensive. Even though we have to do it, it's just expensive, and it takes funds away from us to be able to do things like fix our broken equipment. That stuck with me to the point where I said, I've got to do something about this to try and help those people that are constrained on their budgets to be able to say, what can I do to help you free up some more money? So I decided to come up with this new alternative to ASE entry-level certification called AST State Certification. ASE posts the guidelines and specifications on exactly the requirements needed to pass their tests in all the different areas. Well, I decided I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here, so I'm going to build a system that tests on the exact same criteria. And so a student who passes that test or my test under the same conditions is going to have the same opportunity at the end of the rainbow once they go out into the field with that certification. I polled all the shops that hire all these students, okay? I had them look at my system. Let's talk about this. Let's make sure that if I'm going to develop this, it's going to be equal value to what you're getting now. And we went through all the paths on that. And absolutely, it was a total buy-in. The beauty is that my system now, once it starts getting adopted by every state, and we're right in the middle of getting approved into a few states right now, so right at the beginning of this. But once that starts going and getting approved, well, we're going to be able to give the schools access to this and give their students access to this at about half the cost of what they're spending for ASE entry-level certification right now, with more benefits of how the system works for the
this doesn't take the place of their ASE certification.
It does not take the place of it. It's just an alternative. It's an alternative that the state can say, okay, here's your options for what you can choose to use at your school. You can choose ASE entry-level certification, or you can choose AST state certification. Either works for their requirement. And so then it's up to the school to say, okay, if we're one of those budget constrained schools, maybe we should choose the AST certification and save some money.
I find that very interesting, but I guess if they can pass yours and they do leave and go out and get themselves a job whose shop requires it, it wouldn't be difficult to pass if they've passed yours.
It wouldn't be difficult at all. No. Again, I'm in the testing education side of the business. I'm not just testing for the sake of testing. Okay. So there's a difference there. I'm trying to teach them along the way how to be better test takers, how to pay attention to the material that they're seeing, how to understand terminology. My system also gives them access to every term and definition that they're expected to know inside every ASE area, so that if they run across a term they don't understand, they can look it up right inside our system.
I find it so interesting when I observe the educational piece, not only as a member of an advisory board, but what I hear throughout the industry and the grant money that's out there. There's a lot of Perkins grant money. And to see some schools bringing on an entire EV program, platform, equipment, training, and everything, and some schools don't even have that in their sites. And there's a couple of things, in my opinion. Part of it is the leadership of the school and the vision of some of the chair people that are out there in control, in quotes. It's also about the money. I hear what you're trying to say. Some of the money is locked down so tight that you have to go outside to get it, or you have to apply for all kinds of grants. But in this essential skilled trade of ours, automotive, be it diesel, and all these, I just find, because of the shortage that we have, because it should be the number one attended essential skilled trades hands-on in any college, the money is now pouring into these programs so they can stay on the cutting edge and stay current. I'm not saying that because they have the money they would go to ASE, but you are offering a very interesting alternative with that. So I guess thanks for doing that. And wow, you are a busy guy, and I see why you don't sleep. ASETestprep.com. It's Carl Borsani, all the student stuff that you're doing at automotivestudent-testing.com and all your future think that you're putting together. Don't be bashful. Come around. Tell us what's new with you guys. And we'll put a link to all of these great .coms in our show notes for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, who knows what's next? I know there's going to be something.
You do, but you're not going to tell us.
Hey, trust me, I've got about 9 things flying around right now.
I bet you do. I bet you. Hey, good to have you on the show. Don't be bashful. And we'll talk to you soon, Carl. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Carm. Appreciate it.